do have this second radial arm saw. This one is set up with a Dado blade, and a Dado blade is a blade with several stacked blades that create a notch or channel in the wood. It's much the same as the other radial arm saws. All the features are pretty much the same. It comes forward and back. It has a height adjustment here. You need to loosen up the main arm here so it can go up and down, and that requires loosening up a couple of bolts. I'm pretty sure it's set up to do 3/4 inch dados and in a piece of 3/4 inch material. Remember with radial arm saws, the travel of the blade should never come off the edge of the table. And when I first got here, this table was too small to be safe. So we extended the table. That's why the table was so long. Looking at the saw from the side and from the back. So while the other saw has a spring mechanism that pulls it back, this one doesn't have a spring net mechanism, and someone has manufactured this cord with a weight that pulls it back. The weight could be a little bit heavier. The spring action, if there was a proper spring action, it would be a little bit easier to use, but the weight does the job of returning it. It doesn't return it too quickly. It does need to be that long so that it can come all the way up for full extension. Start and stop are down below. Start is the top button, stop is the bottom button. This is a 3-phase machine. It has to plug into one of the special 3-phase outlets on the wall. It won't plug into 110 electricity. This one does take a long time for the blade to spin down, and that you just have to wait for it. It takes a minute or two. And as with all the tools, you should never walk away from them while the blade is spinning. And you should never reach in and grab material out of there while it's spinning. You may not have noticed on the video, but as I pulled this forward, it wanted to launch out at me more aggressively than the 14-inch original saw brand, the bigger machine. And that's because it has a lot of force with the blade, and this is a smaller machine, and the motor head doesn't weigh as much. It has a lot of force that can come out and launch at us. You just have to be, again, you're pulling out and you're also ready to push back in at the same time as needed. These are our 2 dado cuts. A dado is a groove that goes partway through the wood and is in the middle. When it's on the end, it's called a rabbet cut, and the rabbet is R-A-B-B-E-T, not like the little animal rabbit. This is a rabbet cut. These 2 are dado cuts. Dado, dado, rabbet. And if we cut this right, this should fit in there. It's a little bit big. It's a little bit big, but probably I need a little bit of clearance. I don't want it to be too perfectly smooth. And it's a little bit big, but the plywood is actually slightly less than 3/4 of an inch because they're like a 1/16 of an inch shy of 3/4 of an inch. That's how it's manufactured these days. It's handy if you're doing a lot of carpentry work and cabinetry work to have a second radial arm saw that's set up with the dado blade. You don't have to change the blade on the radial arm saw. You don't have to change the blade on a table saw. You can have it all set up to go, and if you're building shelves, this is a great way to build shelves and have the shelves fit in and have it be it's a very strong joint. So this is a really good joint to do. You can also do this with a router. It requires a little more setup. And you can also run these through the table saw and do one pass at a time with your blade and make multiple cuts. It's not going to be as clean as with a proper dado blade.